friend of the show, a co-host when he's in town, and this is Mr. Daron Calhoun. Good morning, Daron.
Good morning, Brenda. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thanks for this impromptu coming on. And
Oh, this wasn't planned.
uh, uh, but Darren is with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission,
Equal,
right?
Equal Employment Opportunity
Oh,
Commission,
well,
EEOC. We got you. We got you. I got your back.
EEOC. Now, do you all do anything with civil rights?
We do everything with civil rights.
Yeah.
That's what when we ask when I talk to my investigators and I teach new investigators, I tell them to whenever someone asks them what do they do, they're in civil rights. I mean, we are the grandchildren of the civil rights movement.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I'm a.
Great aunt,
No, I wasn't.
youthful aunt.
No, I, I was directly involved in it.
Yeah,
But I
youthful aunt.
guess in a
You
way,
were a child then,
grandchildren.
because it
Yeah.
was you were so young at that point.
Yes, but I was
Probably
always
two people.
active. But anyway, Darren, a lot of things have been going on nationally
Hmm.
as far as people are. Well, so much has happened with black males
Mm.
lately.
Yeah, I was just teaching in Cleveland just yesterday, and one of the things
Isn't that Tamar Rice
that
thing?
was that my brother had to remind me of that there have been so many instances dealing with the civil rights, and that particular piece is a justice issue, Department of Justice issue. But those there have been so many issues surrounding black males, and it's growing. And I was telling those
I
investigators
know.
that it's
Or
the
maybe it's
monster.
just being exposed.
It's probably. I mean, I think that's probably what's growing. The exposure of and the fact that we're seeing so many things happening, where it's almost like you can't go out your house. You don't want to leave your backyard. You want to hold on to your kids. And I have four children, and they're all around the country, and I have two boys, two men of my children are in. One is in South Carolina, and the other is in Savannah, Georgia. That's deep South. And
Right.
so, I cringe every time. I mean, I was just this thing that just happened in Baltimore. It's just ridiculous.
I I was saving that for table
Right.
talk, but I have to tell you, as a person who has had injury of spinal cord injury and all this, and was paralyzed from the waist down, but luckily I did heal through the hospital and surgery. It's when this man screamed that scream, every time I heard that scream, I couldn't, no, I heard it once, couldn't hear it again.
Mm-hmm.
I related to him not being able to use his legs or anything, and they just kept
And just
on.
kept it going, and then they tossed him in the car, and then tossed him in the paddy wagon, and then they tossed him in the car. They had no. It seems like they had no regard for his safety. They had no regard for his injury, and those are civil rights violations. In my mind. Now, I'm not part of the Department of Justice. I'm not a lawyer, but those are civil rights violations. The police are supposed to protect and serve. They're not protecting and they're not serving right now. And it's not every police officer. I have a good friend of mine I graduated high school with. You should get him on the show. His name's Jeff Manson. He's a police officer in the city of Detroit. In fact, he just got promoted to detective.
Really?
And we both graduated from Cooley High School. And we're and
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid,
there you go.
Kool-Aid High. Yeah.
That's right, 1984. And
Oh,
and he's out. He's the face of the police for a lot of us on Facebook. And so a lot of people just jump on and say, "Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is horrible." And he gets on and says, "Well, look, it's not all of us." And he's right. It's not all police officers, but it's increasing, and it's increasing to a point where, I used to whenever I say police officer, in any walk of life, Starbucks or something like that, I will say to them, be careful. Same thing when I see firefighters. Be careful because I know what your job is, so be careful. You almost don't want to say that now because your being careful might mean somebody else, with that some young African American male is going to be killed, and you hate to think that way because that's what they're supposed to be there to protect us and to serve the community, and it's just not showing right now. And I don't know where this atmosphere of hate for the black man has is resurfaced, or
Well, it could have always been there, but it's brought to light more because of social media,
that's right,
because of the cameras that are on everybody's phone.
that's
You
right.
know, because people are not cowards about taking a
Like that
photo.
woman, that there's a video of a woman in
Yes,
California, I think,
California.
and the marshal comes on and just smashes her phone.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, what are you afraid of? If you're doing your job, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you know, you can always come in my office, a little messy, but you can always come in my office and look to see what I'm doing. I have no qualms about that.
Yeah, but you know, you hear these guys say, "I can't breathe" or something like that. If they can't breathe, reposition them, do something else. What is this deal?
And it's like they don't care. The video of the young man in Baltimore has his knee in his neck, and he's saying, "I can't breathe." Now you have the Eric Garner video, which,
Right.
you know, where he's saying, I can't breathe," and they're steady pushing his head down. So at some
He
point,
was dead on the
he was,
ground.
you know, at some point, you know, some police officer, someone on that force has got to say, "Yeah, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough. If you can't breathe, let's sit. Okay, what's the matter? Let's
But
set
that
you up or
comes back
something."
to the administration of the police department because you notice how the different police or sheriff's departments have acted differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on where was it? They jumped right on it. That was the one they buried the young South Carolina.
Oh yeah,
South Carolina.
yeah. They jumped where there was video again of a
Yes.
citizen, and he had to be quite frightened. I mean, when you hear gunshots and you're steady moving forward with the video, he had to be frightened. I mean, and there's just, you know, child support is just not a it's not a death it's not a death
I
punishment
know. I
death
know.
penalty punishment. There's just no way that can be. And even if he found, okay, this guy had warrants, it didn't say kill him on sight. It
I
couldn't have
know.
said that. So,
I know it. I know it. But the guy got out and ran. He had no weapons. Well,
and running away from you, and he wasn't running. I mean,
we
he was
spoke to the
moving.
one earlier in South Carolina about the young man who was at the police at the fire the gas station. Sorry,
Oh my goodness!
and the police officer just shot him. He
Just
said,
shut him.
"Sir."
What are you shooting me
I
for?
mean, the young man saying, "Sir, why did you shoot me?"
And there's no answer. I mean, and that's on and on. And that was a police cam video. You know, there are some. I was in. I think I was in D.C. recently, and there's a push for the police officers to have video, but the mayor doesn't want to let the video out to the public.
Really?
There's just and that's in line with some legislation because all of DC's money and bills come from Congress since they're not a city or a state. So part of the legislation to fund DC comes from those type of bills, and that's what they're.
Well, Darren, which police department was it this week that showed a picture of the one of the guys who was killed selling dope or weed? One of them. They
Oh my goodness!
Yes, I forgot which one, but they set up and showed the picture. Well, we had him on film. Is this the counteract? I
Yeah,
think it was the one in Oklahoma.
okay. So that must mean selling drugs is a death penalty offense, and if that's what their aim is, that's what it looks like they're trying to
Well,
say
the aim is to
discredit the.
discredit the victim.
So
So, is it to justify?
you know, well, we had to shoot him because he was selling drugs. Okay, I didn't know that was a death penalty offense. You
But
know,
then this
in that state,
73-year-old man
on his way to the Bahamas. I don't know if
on
he,
his way to the Bahamas,
know.
I saw that. But then they have some things out where there's certain police officers who were concerned about it because he was arresting people in his own car.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They were concerned about his behavior and lack of training. See, somebody's covering up for this man.
Well, the fact that he said, "I'm sorry, I shot you." I mean,
Well, here's the thing.
you know, I'm reaching for my taser that's
Here, and
and
the
and,
gun is
and my
down
gun
there.
is on my hip. That's somebody who's one of those weekend warriors that just wanted to be able to pull his weapon on somebody, and now it's come with some fatal consequences. And I don't think they know what to do. I think they're caught out there because this goes to court. it's gonna have to be exposed on how much he's provided to that sheriff's department, and because of that, it's just oh, we have all these documents that he was trained. Yeah, but he's not a police officer.
But look at the charge. The charge is second degree manslaughter.
Manslaughter, and I'm sure it's because, and the prosecutor did that because he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shoot you." The guy in South Carolina that's on tape, that cop that pulled his weapon while he was running away, meant to kill him. That was his. He formed the mens rea to kill him. I'm shooting him in the back. There's no other outcome for this.
He owes child support.
Yeah, there's no
Well,
other
I
outcome.
don't think he even knew what the guy had done.
Well,
He didn't have
well, he had time to get the warrant because in the first video, when he took off from his car
Right.
from the Mercedes and the other man is in the car, he went back to his police cruiser, and so the NCIC check that just comes up on the screen, pretty much like this iPad, it will say, this person has warrants, arrest on site.
Okay.
So that's why, and he knew that, and that's why he took off. Okay, I get that. The guy's running, but in the video, which is real time, he wasn't running. I mean, he could have walked closer, walked fast to catch up with them. So it wasn't like he was Jesse Owens or, Carl Lewis or somebody just take off.
Right. That's what we were
He
saying.
took off and stumbled and bumbled, and next you know he's on the ground dead. And now I'm going to throw this taser next to you.
I know. I know. But I think all of this stuff has been happening. It's just being exposed now. Let's get I want to tie this up just a little bit. When the grand juries say, well, we're not going to press charges and everything, and then Michael Brown's parents have now sued.
Yeah, I'm glad for that. I'm
Right.
absolutely glad for that because they'll be able, because in a civil rights case, it's not like a criminal case. Criminal, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, why the grand jury didn't allow that to go forward, I don't know, but you have to show beyond a reasonable doubt. And in a civil rights case, is it more likely than not?
Okay, we have a call. Good morning.
Good morning to my wise and progressive friends.
Good morning. How are
Oh,
you?
you're saying good morning to me too?
Yes, sir. Sam Black calling. So, you know who this is.
This is
My question is this. I don't know whether anybody saw what I saw at the initial Baltimore killing. The young man, when he was initially assaulted by the police, one of the police officers had his foot on his head.
Yep.
And I haven't seen that video again. And at the time, I wasn't paying that much attention to it until it led to his death. So he wasn't in the van that this man died. They died before they put him in the van.
I believe, and I think this is what this will show, and I have no independent evidence, for this, but there is the way that they show that this man's neck was severed,
ugh,
and the way his spinal cord was severed internally. It was not as like he had a cut on his neck. There's no way. I mean, there's no way that you can be banged around in a vehicle to have your larynx crushed and your neck from the back pushed out. So there's just no. I mean, I can see, and we were reading some stories about this, how if he's not buckled in, how an injury can happen, especially if they're riding him rough, according to what the story was.
And Brother Calhoun, there was in Inkster.
Mm-hmm.
They showed in one of the videos on WDIV the man with the police officer handling a baggie. They never brought that back again when they brought up the charges. And there's one other connect the dots that most people do not realize. The chief, the former chief, Vicky Yost, she was a partner of Walter Brown. His name was Brown, Eugene Brown. Do you remember him?
He's the guy who was he was a police officer, but he had killed a lot of people, was
She
he?
was his partner during these episodes.
Oh wow.
So there is a pattern and practice by the police department going on now.
Going on
Have a
for
blessed
years.
day.
I
I
mean,
won't hold up
the
any more
malice
of your time. Have
green.
a blessed day.
Hey, you too. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you, thank you. Yeah, things are going on for years, but I think now you never know who's out there filming you.
Was it? Yeah. I mean, imagine if we had, or they went to jail. I mean, back in the Malice Green days, and then you have
Butson and
Butson and whatever the other man's name. And I try not to commit them to memory because I want them. I don't want to give them any more life. But that was a horrible case. And then you have. I don't know if you.
Nevers.
Nevers, it sure was. Do you remember Stress? I mean, we
Yes, I do remember Stress. You probably don't,
I
but I remember.
we used to call them jump outs, and that's because they just jump out the car and they would ride around our neighborhood. And I lived on the west side. They would drive around our neighborhood in those brown unmarked vehicles. Four just big guys, mainly white, would ride around our neighborhood, and you knew something was happening. Something was going to
And
happen.
it's funny because a lot of them wore these long overcoats. Yeah, I know.
And then we called them jump outs. Oh, there's jump out. It's not like we couldn't see them. I mean, their vehicles were not marked, but we could tell the vehicles. We knew exactly. I mean, we could tell by the lights coming down the street
Right.
which vehicle it was. So,
Well, a lot of them were in plain vehicles.
yeah,
but they had the lights.
they had the tires with no hubcaps and no marking, no white. Back then it was white walls, and they had no white wall, no markings on their
Right,
tip.
right.
Okay, that's jump out. Yeah, we know.
Golly.
Yeah, I mean, and so this is not and to tie it into my agency, we're 50 years old.
I know.
And the monster is growing. I mean, and that's what I was telling these investigators. The monster is growing. This monster called discrimination and hate and is not getting any smaller. It's growing and
And
growing
as
and
much
growing.
as people are trying to say we're all in this together, we're
We're
doing
in a
this and that.
post-racial society, but
It's not.
but we're not, and we still
Well,
have
you,
at the
you see
highest
how they
level.
treat the
And
president.
exactly, that's what I was going to say. At the highest level, they still treat him in such a way that they have absolutely no respect for not only his office, but for him.
Right.
And that's where
A lot of this comes from because people are saying, well, they can disrespect him, they could disrespect anybody.
and I think that's exactly what it is. I think they can, there's an atmosphere, a growing atmosphere. I mean, and we'll talk about this, in the next hour. But why would it take 5 months to approve someone as brilliant as the now Attorney General?
Good morning. We have a call. Good
Yes,
morning.
good morning.
Who am I
Yes,
speaking
can you
with?
hear me? This is Sylvia. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to have a quick question. Is it illegal for black ethnic police to militarize other neighborhoods and communities besides ours? Because it appears it must be illegal for the same kind of troops to go over there versus we have a whole different racial group occupying our community's military style. And so I'm just figuring it's we still living in a separate and unequal world. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bring up a great point. I mean, you bring up an absolutely awesome point. One of the things that we talked about in this class last week was Google how many, not Google's a verb, but Google how many white officers have been arrested and convicted for killing African Americans, unarmed or not, for killing African Americans versus how many have been convicted in, let's say, the last 10 years for for an African American killing a white.
Right.
And she used some really good words, troops, occupy, and that's the way it's feeling now. And that's, the social media is bringing these things out. So
Right.
it's exposing a lot of things. So is it unlawful? It can't be. It absolutely can't be.
Right, right. This is amazing, and we're going to talk more about that on Table Talk in just a few minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tie this up and join us for Table Talk right after this show.